Deuteronomy chapter 24. Uh, I never suggest titles for the devotionals to David. So, David, if you're listening to this one and you catch this part, I want this one to be titled Sacred Inefficiency. Why? Efficiency is something in our culture that is treated as a value. We want to be efficient in everything we do. And I do in ways. I want to be efficient with my use of time. I want to be efficient in areas. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it can become a value where we all of a sudden treat a thing or a process as more important than people, where it's more important to be efficient than it is to be caring and loving. Um, as a parent, I can be more concerned about it's time to get the cleaning jobs done. And let's do this because there's all these other things that are going to flow from that. And so we just want to be efficient and get this done. But maybe there's a conversation that needs to be happening, or maybe it's just the tone I get just becomes overbearing. And in the for the sake of efficiency, I trample on people. In this chapter, we see God instituting sacred inefficiency. Sacred as in he's saying to do it. It's about following him. And he's saying to his people, there's ways I want you to be inefficient. And here we see the harvesting law, where if you're a landowner, you're a farmer, and you go through your field, you're to go through once and leave the corners of the field and not send or not go back or send your employees, for example, your household to go back through a second time and make sure you pick up everything that may have gotten dropped as you went through. Why? Because this was to give opportunity for those who were disenfranchised, the widows and the orphans, or maybe it would have been like a refugee for those that didn't have land, weren't part of a household that was prosperous or that could sustain them, that they had opportunity to go into those fields, and in the corners they could gather, and then they could walk through and just pick up whatever had been left behind in the first pass. Again, we see this practice happening in the book of Ruth, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this was one of the ways that God had instituted in the law how widows and orphans could be cared for, could find resourcing for themselves. There wasn't a welfare system, where, checks would go out. This was, here's an opportunity to receive food for yourself. And so there's opportunity given for those who just have less opportunity or less resources. And so for those who are wealthy, or those who had, it was don't look to squeeze out every acre, every bushel. It's no, just go through that first pass, leave the corners. It will be enough for you, and you're leaving enough for others. We see the same principle with lending money here. It's not about squeezing every advantage. It's about looking after the community, looking after those who don't have as much. I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle Proverbs yet as we go through the Bible as we've been going through, but one of the themes of Proverbs is that righteous people are those who disadvantage themselves for the blessing of those who have less. And the wicked, one of the descriptions of wicked people in Proverbs are those who disadvantage the community, disadvantage others for their own gain, for their own advantage. Here, Deuteronomy chapter 24, we see God putting in these civil laws saying, look, you have disadvantaged yourself intentionally. Don't be super efficient with your harvest for the sake of others. Again, we also see in this chapter more rights, more protection for the women in the culture, which again, in a way, culturally was not efficient as well, in the sense of here's resources that some could keep for themselves. They could have more. And no, it's going to those who are in need, who don't have a way to like establish themselves on a permanent basis where they'd be fine on an ongoing basis. These would have been widows in the ancient world, would have needed constant care and protection. Just want to highlight here that generosity, not gain, is God's value. And that should be ours as well. Does God not say that, well, you can't earn a living and have a good living? That's not it. It's, are we though looking to squeeze every advantage, every penny, everything that we make and squeeze it for our gain? Or are we looking to go, what is enough? And then from that, what can I give? How can I be generous? How do we bless those who don't have the same opportunities and resources that we have? You may be listening and going, I don't have much opportunities. I don't have much resources. Well, God has called his people to be caring for you. And sometimes it's simply because we don't know. We live in a much more individualistic society where to say that I have a need is somehow sometimes feels shameful. It is not, it should not that be that way within the church. And so if you have need, if you need assistance, talk to me, talk to your elders, talk to someone within a small group that you may be a part of, or those who are close to you. Don't let yourself think that because you have less, you are less. We're called to care and share with one another. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today would you know his peace. God bless.